So I'm going to show you how I work it to make my holes for my journal and how I transfer that information to the actual cover, okay? So, simplest way that I've found. First, I go through, and I'll do it with this one. I take all of my, if I have some tags in there already, I get my journals somewhat, oh, I had that where I wanted it. I get my journals somewhat done, and I go through and I make sure that everything is lined up right where I want it, that everything is going to be in good shape. Like I want this a little higher, so I move it a little higher, and that it's all, you know, fitting in right, aligned, I guess is the proper terminology, right where I want it. And then I'm going to grab whatever you have. If you have binder clips, if you have bigger clips, if you have clothespins, whatever you have, I'm going to pinch my thumb right into the corner and then kind of push it between my two fingers, and that way I know that everything in that area is pushed down into that corner. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Take my thumb, put it right into the corner, push it in, and I'm going to put a clip on the same side. I don't really have a favorite. I'm just grabbing these. And I'm going to push that down in there and clip. Now sometimes if you close it, you're going to see that it's bundling up or something. Don't worry about it. It's mainly just to make sure that you've got everything lined up so it is in all aligned into the corner, if you can see that. Okay. Now next, I do still kind of flip through and just make sure that nothing kind of got off kiltered, and we're good. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go back to this one now because I've done that for this one. And I have everything where it's pushed, it's right now into the corner. Now I have a little jig type thing that I made. Or something that Michael's got in. They're pretty strong, and I just took a piece of cardboard and glued two of them together, and that's what I did. Okay, so first thing, now that you've got your signatures ready to go, I just take a piece of paper, and usually, you know, 2 inches, I think that's what that is. Yeah, about 2 inches is all you need. This is just some scraps of something that I cut off. And I'm going to cut off right, so that is the length of my signature. Alright, and then I'm going to fold it in half. And this one, because it's lines, I can line up the lines, and I know I'm working pretty straight here. Alright, so now if you don't have a centering ruler, you would just start at 1. And it's 8 5/8, and so I would just do, first I would do big inches, well, you can do 5/8, and then you can do the next 5/8, 5/8, and the next 5/8, you know, just as long as you're kind of so about 4 1/4, 4 3/8, somewhere in there. But since I'm lucky enough to have a centering ruler, I am going to see how close we were. This is 4 1/4 here, 4 3/8 there. So we're somewhere right in the middle of 4 1/4 and 4 3/8. So we would have been just fine. Okay, so now you're going to take a pencil and you're going to put a mark right there. And then you're going to go approximately 1 inch in to both sides. And I want to make sure that you know, hold on, that your smallest piece of paper, which is for me this. Now if I go in 1 inch, I'm going to totally miss that on both sides. I will have the center, but I will not have it. So I either need to rethink this, or I need to rethink my 1 inch, which I'm going to rethink my 1 inch, and I'm going to go in, let's see, if I go in 1.5 inches, will I catch both sides? I will. So I'm going to go in 1.5 inches, okay? So we've got our center, and we're going to go in, my pencil, and I'm just going to, let me get you a little closer so you can see what I'm doing here. I think you can see the ruler. I'm going to move it up just a smidge, but I think you can see the ruler now. I'm just going to go at 4 1/4, and I'm not going to worry about the little bits. So now I'm going to go, so that's one line, one major line, or 2 little lines past the 4. So now 2 little lines past the 3 is 1 inch. And this would be 2 inches, but I only want 1.5 inches, so I'm going to come back over here. So there's 1.5 inches. Let me make this right in the fold. I'm putting the points right into my fold. And so that is 2 3/4. So then I'm going to go right here. That would be 1 inch. I'm going to jump back 2 3/4 on this side. All right. So if you, again, if you only had a regular ruler, you're basically at 1.5 and it's 7, and this is 4 1/4. So you can figure it out. Either way, it is easier with a centering ruler. And that's the Tim Holtz ruler, and it is a centering ruler. The sewing department will have some centering rulers as well. Okay, so so I've got my holes, and now I'm going to fold this so I can see my holes here, okay? And we're going to put this, oops, yeah, I can see my holes the first way. That's the next step. Okay, so I'm going to line this up with my papers. It should go end to end. I'm going to put it into, again, if you've got a phone book, if you've got this little jig, whatever it is that you created to do this with, or, you know, like just grab a book, a big dictionary. Okay, now I'm pushing this in, and now I have a pokey tool, or I have an actual awl. I'm going to use that because this is quite a few pieces of paper, and I want to get a nice hole. Now, the other thing that you're looking for is you want this to go straight into all of those folds. You don't want it to go out the sides of the folds. You want it to go straight up and down. So you want to make sure that you've got everything down into those folds, pushed well, line it up, and push straight down. And this all makes it so easy because you can get your whole hand on it. I got this at Walmart. It was like less than $3. So totally worth it. Okay, so now I've got my holes, and they actually are going, this paper cracked just a little bit, but they're actually coming straight out of my my seam. I did doctor this seam up a little bit, and I put tape on the inside of it, but when you flip the page you really don't even notice it. So it's going to be fine. I'm going to put a little piece of tape over the back side of this. It'll just kind of help give it just a little bit more. And then I'm going to take some lace and put over that. So this will have a little lacy piece, and it will help seal that up. Okay? I think you could see what I was talking about right in here. Yeah. Okay, so we've done that. And now, when you're going to do that to all your signatures. And now, I'm going to flip it around. Of course, I can see the holes, but I'm going to flip around where I can see the paper. And I have 3. Again, you're going to get your centering ruler out if you want, or you can just line it up. Let me make sure I'm in, yeah. So we can just line it up from one end to the other. This is 1.5 inches. And your 3/4 of an inch is your center. So I'm going to put a line here. I'm going to come down a little ways. Do the same thing, 3/4. Since I have 3, I'm looking to center the first one. Okay. And then I'm going to give myself a line. There we go. So now I have the center, and I have a line on the center. And I'm going to line my paper up. I am going to get myself, I have this little piece that I cut off of my squishy mat that I used for stamping. And any little piece of foam, something or other will work. So now I just line this, I just eyeball it. You could measure it. I just eyeball it, and so that I have, there, I have the same amount of this paper on the top and the bottom of my book, and it should be about 1/8 of an inch because that is how I measured it for, and it looks like it's going to work just fine. And then I can see my holes right there, and right there. Just bring it right to the line, and then I'm going to poke my holes right in there. Bam. Now on this one, if you wanted to, you could use your pokey tool because you're going to get, this is just one cereal box. If you were going through chipboard, this all is better. The cereal box, you can use the pokey tool and it'll be just fine. Now, all I do to get my other 2 lines, this is 3/4 of an inch here and 3/4 of an inch here. So about 3/8. And I just measure along this line. Let's see, get here. And I've got 1, 2, 3/8. You can just, if you want to, you can just draw yourself a little line. Let's see, find the center of that hole and draw yourself a little line across there. And then do 1, 2, 3/8 and do a little line right there. So now you're getting kind of a cross hatching. And from here it's 1, 2, 3/8. And so now I know that my hole is going to go here and it's going to go here. And I'm going to do that all the way down. And that will give me all of my holes. And when you get these and they're all poofed out, you can go back and, well, let's see, you can even do it with this. You can push them back in, get that paperwork down so that when the needle comes through, all it's doing is pushing out what it needs to push out. That's, I guess, probably another reason. Think about what you're going through. This is going to give you a lot more push, and if you're going through something pretty thin, you're liable to push and just get really far down deep into this this bigger part of the needle, where this is going to be much thinner, and you're not going to push, you're not going to be able to push quite as hard because you can't really get the leverage on it. So this is going to be a better tool for you to use. Let me just punch these 2 holes so you'll be able to see that. So we've got this hole here and this hole here. Okay, so now you can see that this one I made quite a big ruckus on here. This one was not near as big. Okay, all right, so that's how I do my holes. Super easy, and you know, no muss, no fuss. I'm ready to sew in just a few minutes. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the tip. Bye.